This time I'll call to order City of Joliet Pre-Council meeting for June 2nd, 2025. Mayor Terry Darcy presiding.
Okay, we'll begin with roll call. Mayor Darcy.
Here.
Councilman Cardenas.
Here.
Councilman Clement.
Here.
Councilman Hug.
Here.
Councilwoman Ibarra.
Here.
Councilman Moreno.
Here.
Councilman Mudrin.
Here.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Here.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Here.
First, we have a presentation. Grand Prairie Water Commission Alternative Water Source Program Update, presented by Allison Swisher, Director of Public Utilities.
Mayor and Council, it's a pleasure to be here tonight to provide an update on the Grand Prairie Water Commission project, which is our alternative water source program. A lot of work has been done since this update was last provided, which was over a year ago. So tonight we're just going to again remind everyone who might be watching about the background of the program and why we are embarking on this large water project. Give an overview of the program, the recent accomplishments by the commission, also a look ahead as what's going to come up in the next 12 months. So again, I think people are surprised to find out that in this area we are running out of water, but that's simply what is the case with our current water source, the deep aquifer, not being able to be sustainable. We did find out from the Illinois State Water Survey that by as soon as 2030 we would not be able to meet our maximum day demands. Some of our neighboring communities also have faced this issue, and others who use the shallow wells have had issues, as we've seen recently in the news with PFAS. So for all those reasons, it was important to find an alternative water source. Joliet took the lead back in 2018 of studying all the various alternatives. After that alternative evaluation was completed, it was decided to purchase water from the city of Chicago that would be our most sustainable and reliable alternative water source. Again, the regional aspect of this project is significant. We have been working with our partner communities at Shanahan, Crest Hill, Minooka, Romeoville, and Shorewood to form the Grand Prairie Water Commission, which will be its own governmental entity. That will be the entity that will purchase water from the city of Chicago and then sell that water to each of the 6 member communities, of which Joliet is one. And Joliet is responsible for implementing the program. So we have a program management agreement with the commission by which Joliet will oversee implementation of the project. So this is a very large water infrastructure project. It covers over 65 miles of pipeline, ranging in size from 66-inch all the way down to 16-inch. It starts in the southwest side of Chicago with the construction of a pumping station, and then that water then is pumped again over 65 miles out to our most furthest point in Shanahan. Along the way, there's additional pumping and storage facilities. And one important part of this project is that it's being designed for initial system capacity of about 55 million gallons per day, but that pipeline will have the ability to expand out to the build-out capacity, of which every town has estimated their build-out needs of over 100 million gallons per day. So again, there's a lot of anticipated growth in this region, and this project is being constructed and designed to accommodate that. So in recent months, we've been working on updating the schedule and budget for the program, and we include this slide not so that you can read in great detail, but just to show the complexity of the program. It's made up of over 26 individual projects, and each of those has to fit together in a way so that by May of 2030 we have the ability to turn on the faucets at our homes and have Lake Michigan water. So this schedule kind of drills down more into more legible of when things will be happening. So we have already started construction on the first project that's in the city of Chicago. Work out in this region is slated to start as soon as next year. So people, driving around this area won't see that again, but next year we'll be starting to see that construction out in our region here. The good news is that upon evaluation, rebaselining of the schedule, we are still meeting that important deadline of May of 2030. We've also revisited the budget. This is our third rebaselining of the budget, and that's a process we go through each year. And we take all the different inputs that go into the budget. And again, the good news here is that our baseline program budget of $1.446 billion remains unchanged from the last update. Our program's being funded with a combination of low-interest loans from the state and federal low-interest loan programs. WIFIA is a federal low-interest loan program that can fund up to 49% of the program costs. The IEPA State Revolving Fund is another program available to us that has a very favorable interest rate. And then the remainder will be funded with bonds. And so these will all be funding that the commission will implement to complete the project. And then something we've discussed here in Joliet is just the improvements that each member community will need to do to implement the Lake Michigan water source. That includes adding storage, adding additional pumping stations, non-revenue water reduction, which is a major component of the work that we're doing in Joliet, as well as the important corrosion control studies and water source transfer planning to make sure that when the new water source is introduced to the system, that there aren't any negative impacts to water quality. And then lastly, just decommissioning the existing system. So each community is looking at maintaining their current wells to act as a backup. So just highlighting some of our recent accomplishments. Again, the Grand Prairie Water Commission was formally formed in June of 2024. We did receive this past March the recognition by the IEPA that the commission is a public water supply. That enables us then to move forward with getting permits for the construction contracts. We did complete design and bidding of the first work package, which is the tunnel extension work in the city of Chicago, which I'll mention in more detail in a few slides. Continuing on with all of the final engineering design, including the field investigations, which we're wrapping up. That includes all of the geotechnical work, the soil borings, all the environmental due diligence that needs to be done. That's all been in motion. We did acquire the land needed for 2 of the facility sites and progressed with funding, as I mentioned, and the baseline budget and schedule rebaselining. Also, we have done a lot of updates to our website, where you can go to the website now and see updates on construction, similar to what we have in Joliet, where you can go and click on a project and it tells you the current status, and there'll be updates made there weekly. So looking ahead, there's a lot of work to do. We have construction underway on the very first project. Actually, this morning we had a groundbreaking event with the city of Chicago and our member partners from the other communities. Very, very nice event to celebrate the great collaboration that we have with so many different governmental entities. So this project is currently under construction and will be completed by the end of next year. Also progressing again with the engineering design. You can see the green, this is where we'll be by the end of 2025, seeing almost all of the projects at that 60% completion or beyond. And so it's a lot of effort that the project has been in, really these planning and design stages, but you'll see next year we'll be moving a lot into construction. And a lot of the focus of the work this year is acquiring that land. We are maximizing the use of road right-of-ways to the greatest extent possible. So for a lot of the transmission main segments, there is not the need to acquire any easements on private property, but in spite of that, we still have over 400 temporary and permanent easements to acquire, and all the permitting that needs to be put in place. So that'll be a really heavy lift this year and next year to get those agreements in place. And as I said, you'll really see this program switching now into the construction phase. In the next 12 months, we're going to be bidding over 7 projects. And so those are identified here on the screen. Those are all ones that we've been working with the contracting community to make sure they're well aware that this work is coming out and that they're available to bid on it. Also, something that the council will be seeing very soon is the assignment of the water supply agreement that Joliet has with Chicago, and that agreement will be assigned to the commission. So when we approved The water supply agreement with Chicago was always with the understanding that that would then be assigned to the Grand Prairie Water Commission. So that's anticipated to come to council for your approval in July to complete that assignment. Again, always this project is very important to keep everyone up to date. We have monthly social media posts. We have a quarterly newsletter. We also meet quarterly with the residents in Chicago and the neighborhood where the projects there are being constructed. And we also have an annual contractor outreach event, which this year we anticipate having in September. Again, to really make sure that we're working with the contracting community to know that these projects are coming out. And just lastly, again, encourage the public to go to the website for the Grand Prairie Water Commission. A lot of information there, all the documents that we've been working on, and you can sign up there to receive a lot of this information directly in your email inbox. So that was a very quick high-level overview of all the work we've been doing on this program, and look forward to continuing to provide updates as we move forward. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is citizens to be heard on agenda items. Is there anyone who would like to speak under citizens to be heard on agenda items this evening? Anyone? Okay, seeing none. Next, we will have the city manager review tomorrow night's actionable items.
Okay, starting with the consent agenda, invoices to be paid. Next will be Council Memo 32425, award of contract for the Advanced Traffic Management System Phase B project to H&H Electric Company in the amount of $648,969.63. Council Memo 32525, award of contract for the 2025 sewer cleaning and inspection program to Pipe View America in the amount of $528,650 and a professional services agreement for professional engineering and field inspection services to RJN Group, Inc. in the amount of $98,500. Council Memo 32625, award a professional services agreement for the 2025 Force Main Design and Cleaning program to RJN Group in the amount of $31,900. Council Memo 32725, award a professional services agreement for the Phase 2 engineering services for the Theodore Street over Rock Run Creek Bridge Improvement Project to Corba Group, Inc. in the amount of $397,566. Council Memo 32825, award a professional services agreement for a TIF efficiency study to Johnson Research Group in the amount of $72,615.
Mayor, could we get a brief description of what the TIF study is for?
I don't want to step on your lines.
No, go on, Dustin. Thank you.
So this is a best practice. When you have as many TIFs as the city of Joliet has, it is normal and appropriate to kind of lift the hood and take a look at how those TIFs are performing. So what the consultant will often look at is the composition of that TIF. Over time, some parcels change uses, right? So if there's a big parcel that was now tax exempt, we wouldn't want that in the TIF, right? So this study looks at each TIF on a parcel by parcel basis, identifies which parcels should be in, should not be in as it's currently constituted, and then we'll make suggestions on how to change the composition of each of those TIFs. It'll also take a look at what parcels are performing particularly well, what aren't, and that data will allow staff and the city leadership like yourself to make policy choices on how to maximize the utility of that economic development tool.
Thank you.
Moving on to Council Memo 32925, approval of change order number 1 for the Krings Acres Phase 2A Water Main Improvements Project to J. Condon Sewer Services for decreased amount of $106,099.20. Council Memo 33025, approval of change order number 1 for the Fairmont Water and Sewer Extension Project to Steve Spice Construction, Inc. for a decreased amount of $745,046.58. Council Memo 33125, approval of change order number 2 for the 2024 sidewalk curb replacement project, East Project, on behalf of Davis Concrete Construction Company for adjustments to the project completion date. Moving on to license and permit applications. Council Memo 33325, issuance of Class E liquor license at 751 North Hickory Street. Council Memo 33425, issuance of a Class E liquor license at 671 to 675 Collins Street for Brava Banquet. I know our liquor commissioner is here if anyone has any further questions.
Mayor, on the same subject, not particularly about these two licenses, you probably remember, Terry, too, going back in the late 80s when the city of Joliet, the council, tried to get a handle on how many liquor licenses we had and found out they had a lot back then, and they could work backwards. Can we put together a report, not immediately, it's not, on exactly how many liquor licenses we currently have of the different categories, because as a council, we may want to consider to either step in with some kind of regulation on it, you know, how many more, or we may not, but I think that would be a good time to do it.
Yep.
Sure.
Is that going to be good, something you can get done, Beth?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Moving on to ordinances and resolutions. Ordinances, Council Memo 33625, ordinance approving one or more supplemental indentures and authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $145 million waterworks and sewage senior lien revenue bonds of the City of Joliet, Illinois. Resolutions, Council Memo 33725, resolution authorizing the agreement between the City of Joliet and the Village of Shanahan regarding the provision of law enforcement mutual aid. Council Memo 33825, resolution authorizing the extension of an intergovernmental agreement with the Will County 911 Emergency Telephone System Board, ETSB, to accept grant funds available under the 911 Surcharge Grant Program in the amount of $1,242,000. Council Memo 33925, resolution appropriating Rebuild Illinois bond funds for the Advanced Traffic Management System in the amount of $648,969.63. This is a housekeeping item for the state. Council Memo 34025, resolution approving amendment number 2 to the agreement between the City of Joliet and the Forest Preserve District of Will County for services related to the Hollywood Road, Hobolt Road, I-80 to US Route 6 interchange modifications and roadway reconstruction project. Council Memo 34125, resolution adopting an intergovernmental agreement for the routine maintenance of state routes located within the City of Joliet. Council Memo 34225, resolution appropriating motor fuel tax funds for Phase 2 engineering services for the Theodore Street over Rock Run Creek Bridge Improvement Project and the amount of $397,566. Another housekeeping item.
Mayor, we looked at it for our committee, just so people watching, that we pay 20% of that. 80% is paid by the federal government. Just want to make that point.
Thank you. Council Memo 34325, resolution approving an agreement with the Illinois Department of Transportation for Phase 2 engineering services for the Theodore Street over Rock Run Creek Bridge Improvement Project in the amount of $397,566. Council Memo 34425, resolution appointing an alternate commissioner to the Grand Prairie Water Commission. That concludes the agenda, and that will be Joe Clement.
Oh.
All right. Congratulations.
Saving so.
Mr. Mayor, I had a question.
Surprise.
If you don't mind.
It's a right- No, you know about it.
I know.
Congratulations.
Beth, we're doing sewer cover replacement in the near west side, Ingalls. I think Greg, I'm just trying to figure out, we put gravel there, it's all being kicked out, and there's potholes. I was just seeing it, is the contractor,
Yeah,
or Allison, is the contractor gonna do that, or are we doing that in-house, or?
No, with the contractor, we did receive complaints about the condition around those structures, so they have been notified and should be taking care of it.
Yeah, and I'm very, very happy it's being done. I
Yeah.
mean, we talked about it a few months ago, how
Yes.
they're being sunk down and all that, and we're taking care of it, but thanks for taking care of that.
Yep.
So, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is public comments. Is there anyone who would like to address the council this evening? Anyone? Okay, seeing none, I did receive a request for closed session. Is there a motion to go into closed session to discuss personnel, collective bargaining, land acquisition or conveyance, pending or threatened litigation, after which the meeting will adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Cardenas?
Aye.
Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilwoman Ibarra?
Aye.
Councilman Moreno?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Mayor Darcy?
Aye.
Motion carried.